Let the bass kick.
Yeah, YouTube will let us get away with that for 10 seconds. I hit the button.
Oh, snap.
I kind of felt it too. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's jumping in.
Got him.
Got him.
Watch out.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? This isn't copyright violation. It's just beatboxing improv on the podcast. That's how we
Guess who's back?
So, yeah. Anyway, it was an interesting week, but what up?
What's up?
Episode 37. Episode 37.
You know my favorite commercial right now?
What's your favorite commercial?
Is it the Kroger commercial?
Which? Kroger?
Everybody get low, 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 low.
Oh, no. It's the Corona commercial with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Friends.
Baby, you got to quit calling me on my cell phone. Oh.
How many of us
All right,
have
so
them?
here's the thing.
But it's if you listen to the song "Friends" by Houdini,
Yeah.
which I had to go back to and just play on repeat. It's not about your buddies that you'd want to have at the beach. It's like, look at all these people we call friends, but they're really messing with us or messing with our
pretenders.
lives. Like
Sneaky, shady.
some guy steals somebody's girl, and
Pretenders.
there's something else. Like
Here's the thing.
it's like with friends like these, who needs enemies?
I haven't told anybody this.
Exclusive.
Coming live from the Sapphire Lounge.
Yo.
All right, and I implore some of the people that are watching today to try this as well. I want to take a Corona, like video myself from like the refrigerator, and like pass it one way out of the screen, and then you pick it up. You know, catch it in one side of the screen and then put it to the other. I want to somehow pass a Corona to Snoop Dogg.
Oh,
Virtually.
Yeah. So, you know, like we gotta get Will to do the video. So I'll record myself, and then you record yourself, and then Will will put those two together. Then
We just
somebody
gotta
else.
we just gotta get Snoop Dogg's people. Right? That's
But we
And,
gotta get
Bad
we gotta
Bunny.
get it passed on to like 50 people before
And
like
Bad
it gets to
Bunny.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
I think it can happen.
dude, if we had for Solstice, we just tell people we need to video you before you tee off. Actually, people are very agreeable, but right before they tee off,
Oh wow.
because they're very nervous,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
they're just talking about like, oh, what's this? What's it like? Oh, you want to volunteer? And they're like, yeah, I want to volunteer, man. And they're very agreeable right before tee off because they're just kind of in that, nervous energy, got to burn it off.
Sure.
And usually, it depends on which division, but some divisions are there, 2 hours early.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm a little early for my tee time, which means I'm 2.5 hours early.
right. A little. A smidge.
Yeah.
Just a touch.
Let's coach it.
Shout out to Alpo. He was 3 hours early for his tee time. That's a bag tag.
Good on you, Alan. Good on you. I'd rather have them early than late, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
Always rather have them early than late. So, it's been a while since we've been in the studio together. I realized while I was recording with John and Harper last week that I have done the last 3 episodes of this show by myself.
Dun, dun, dun.
Whoa!
Blame it
Law
on
and
Corona.
Order. Dun, dun.
Blame it on the rain. Yeah. Dude.
We'll
legit,
break
straight up.
into song
Yesterday,
because
we're going to talk. One really cool thing that we are going to talk about. I promise we are going to talk about something. But one cool thing.
This is a show about nothing.
yeah. We just
Seinfeld podcast.
one thing that we are going to talk about tonight. We did something really cool. Well, Marcus did something really cool, and I filmed it. But we went out to Tennessee School for the Blind yesterday. Now, this was really awesome for me. I was super excited because last year, obviously 2018, we got our articles of incorporation as a 501c3 public charity. So 2019, we started talking about how we could be more active in the community outside of disc golf.
Right.
And so in 2020, we elected Tennessee School for the Blind as our charity partner, our local charity partner. Mm-hmm. And hi, MJ. Hi. How are you, buddy?
Hey.
We have a visitor.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. All right. So, as you were.
Here's your seat. Here's your mic.
There's MJ, everybody.
Yeah.
Now our view count just went through the roof.
Yeah, exactly.
This was planned.
You're doing great.
This was planned.
I love it.
Go with your brother.
Now that is podcast gold.
Love you too.
That is quality media content right there,
I
dude.
love the both of you.
I'm
Yeah.
so
much.
stoked. You guys rock, man. You just made the podcast so much better.
Yeah.
At least my mood is better. I just get to see it.
Yeah.
You can't see MJ and not be in a better mood.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid, and I don't know what this is going to say, because I was about to say, man, the kid is just adorable. But then I was like, also, like 5 minutes ago, I just said, dude, Marcus, he looks just like you.
Yeah.
So
And I'm
now,
not adorable.
So transitive property, Marcus, you're
no
adorable.
homo. You're a good-looking man, bro. You really are. And you have good genes. Your kids are strapping young lads.
Whew, I needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did good, bro. You make
All
pretty
done.
babies.
Appreciate it.
And
Not making any more.
yeah, good job. Nope, we don't need any more kids. Period. But anyway, but yeah. So
But
we
wait,
went out to
there's more.
Tennessee School for the Blind. We were going to do all kinds of cool stuff. We were going to have a fundraiser event for them. They were going to bring some of the students out to be a part of it. We were going to go out and teach the kids disc golf at the school. We had all kinds of stuff planned. We were able to raise a little over $1,000 through the bag tag series. But a lot of the stuff was sidelined by COVID, and that was a big bummer for me, especially because then that was one of the things that I was really proud of to like leave with the club is hopefully as a tradition is to have a local charity partner for each season and use some of our momentum to support some good causes in the local area. So I was really stoked when I found out that you guys, and I mean the new current board, and because Marcus, he had forgotten about it, and I'm not going to let you get away with this. But we were all planning on being here, getting the band back together tonight, having all four of us here in the studio. And then Sunday,
what date it was.
Sunday night, yeah, he forgot the date. He didn't forget the clinic. He forgot the date. Clarify.
He had it on lock the whole
But yeah,
time.
we were talking Sunday night, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in." Oh no, what's the date? I got the clinic.
See?
And I was like, well, heck with the podcast. I'd rather go out there and film that and
Yeah.
get some content from that because that's been a long time in the making. And I was just really stoked that you guys followed through with that and that was something that the club has carried on at least, and not just in the sense that we still have a charity partner, but also following through with those things that we had on deck for TSB, even though they're no longer necessarily technically our charity partner.
Your special events coordinator, Marcus Rogers.
Thanks, Coach.
He set it all up. So
It was actually really, really fun. Shout out to Charity and her team. They did a great job. Interesting. Walking in through the door was the most, I guess, interrogational part of the
wait, what?
the experience. You got to take your
there's a big
license.
the security checkpoint because you remember when we went out there
You
with
got to
Robert.
take your license and like put it into like a coin machine, and it just like sucks it
That's
down.
new.
takes a
That
picture.
wasn't there the last time I was there.
Yeah, and it like takes a picture and it like prints the picture out on this little name tag with your name on it, whatever else. I'm like, man, they should have that everywhere.
Yeah,
like you should be getting into the airport with this. This security.
once it's got the federal government,
oh yeah,
support. They're like, no, we're
yeah. So they walk us through, and we go to the open grounds over there, and then we see the kids over to the right. They got 3 baskets, so we send them to the open area. Got the baskets set up. I brought everybody together, went over a little bit about what we were doing. Got all the kids separated into different groups. We've got some video from that from Sure.
Yep, that's going to be releasing in tandem with this for sure.
One of the best parts was that when we separated everyone definitely went to their respected groups naturally. We didn't have to say like, okay, we need you guys over here and you guys over there. It seemed like everybody was just like, okay, I'm going to go with you all over here. Nice. So we had Big Z out there teaching people. We had James, Bright. We had Ruthie. Just a bunch of volunteers. I was super stoked to see Will out there. My wife came out. Shout out to Maggie.
I was
Rogers.
stoked to see Maggie out there.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know,
Maggie!
Right? I've been trying secretly to get her to play disc golf. It's so hard to get your significant other to do something that you enjoy. But it took one of the kids out there to get her to actually start throwing a disc. So that was really, really cool.
Dude, she seemed like she was having a ball.
Right.
I mean, it was dope. The whole thing was super exciting.
Nice.
I was just really excited to finally be able to get out there with those students and get to interact with them a little bit. And you mentioned Bright, his wife Donna, her and I were kind of the media team. She was taking still photographs. I was taking video.
Nice.
So yeah, we do have a video. Right now I'm about halfway through editing it, and I think it's going to be about 15-20 minutes long of just teaching these kids disc golf. And I think what I'll probably do is we'll split this up in the middle, and I'll throw it in the middle of that, and then I'll release it also separately. But just so everybody can see. But these kids were incredible, man. It was absolutely, I mean, it was enough to pull tears out of your eyes. And there was a moment where I was interacting with the kids. I was filming the group that Ruthie and Bryke had. And there was this girl, Brianna, who was throwing it. I could tell she was a little trash talker. I was kind of watching her interact with the other kids and stuff, and I was like, I like this kid.
Yeah.
And so she's up there talking to Ruthie, and Ruthie was introducing all the volunteers, and she pointed at me and she said, and that's Will. He's a troublemaker. And I was like, I am troublesome. and so Brianna looks at Ruth, and she goes, I know Will's a troublemaker. You know why? Ruthie's like, why? And she goes, because he's Will. And she said something about another Will. I'm assuming it was another
You're
student.
on a list.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was another student, but something else that another Will had done. And I was like, yeah, never trust a Will. And obviously now for everybody at home that's watching, listening, these kids are not all completely blind. Some of them have varying degrees of eyesight, of sight capability. So the school is for children with varying degrees of sight challenge. And also the school for the deaf is also housed on site there with Tennessee School for the Blind. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure we had a pretty wide spectrum of cases in the sampling that we had for the clinic there. But there were some kids that could see perfectly well, and I assume they might have been hard of hearing or something. It doesn't really matter. But it was really interesting because you're trying to formulate and package this clinic and this educational experience for kids, and you don't know. Like the senses that you normally rely on in regular everyday conversation, you don't know which senses these kids are capable of using. So it was just like from a teacher's perspective, it was educational, right? I mean, I felt like I was having to remind myself, hey, these kids can't all see you very well. Hey, these kids may not be able to hear you very well. And it was also interesting how you said it kind of naturally, everybody kind of sorted themselves out. I was watching Jim and David and Ruthie and Bryke and everybody kind of get their gears turning up to speed at the same time. Like they were all kind of feeling out the different kids that they had and figuring out how best to communicate with them. And the kids were stoked. They just lit up. But this girl, Brianna, I said something about, never trust a Will. She lights up and she goes, but where there's a will, there's a way. And I was like, yeah, there's a way somewhere. They used to tell me I was going to hell if I didn't change my ways. And she just leaned her head back and got this and she just cracked up. And I was like, yeah, got her. And turned around, was joking around, stepped back, and Donna, Bryke's wife, walks up and showed me this picture that she had caught of Brianna's face right after I cracked that joke. And it was just the look on her face was just priceless. And it was like, oh, man.
Well, that's the best thing about kids is you can almost do any practice drill. They're going to be into it.
Oh, yeah.
And the sound of the chains, I mean, that's pretty universal. Seeing the disco in the chains, like that's
right.
Yeah.
That sound or the sight of seeing that and actually doing that's even a little kid who's standing right near the basket and drops the disc in, it's exciting. So,
man, and you could tell.
It translates.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's that sound. And like for us, obviously, it's the most beautiful sound in the world, but you would expect it to be because we're disc golfers. But you don't realize just how sonically, I guess, aesthetically pleasing that sound is on a universal level. But these kids, you could watch them light up like in pace with each other. And it was like you could tell that the kids who had better eyesight were a little more confident throwing right at first, and they would kind of really get behind them. But then even the kids that were using canes, after they'd thrown 3 times and gotten some like verbal confirmation that they were throwing in a safe direction, that they weren't they weren't going to cause any kind of problem, every time they threw after that, you would see it would go a little farther. It would go a little farther. Their reach back would go a little bit further back. Their snap would improve. Like their form was getting better. It was just really cool to watch.
Nice.
So yeah, I think my favorite part of the day was actually we did a ring of fire.
Oh, nice.
Just old school, get all the baskets. We put all 3 baskets in the middle and had everybody just putting out there. And I think that was everyone's most favorite part because you got to throw it at somebody who was actually just like ringing the baskets. So they were trying to make sure everybody knew where the baskets were. And then they were just like, hey, I'm going to hide behind the baskets. If you want to hit me, just hit me. You know? Type of situation. Everybody was having fun. Lots of smiles. It was a great day.
Well, they showed some kind of noise device that they had. One of the gym teachers there when we were there last year, and they put it on top of the basket. It's like beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, see, and I didn't know. I would have talked to Marcus more about this.
You can change the pitch and frequency.
Really?
And they put them on top of the basket, and so then when you're closer, it's louder, so you can tell where you're throwing to.
I didn't know anything about it. I honestly kind of assumed, because I wasn't thinking about the time of the year, but I kind of assumed we'd be in the gymnasium because that's where they had those
Yeah,
those
they
tone
had- yeah.
machines. And I was talking about them, but that was one of those things is I kind of expected those tone machines to be out
Right.
there. And it was interesting to see everybody at the same time kind of pick up on the fact that, hey, somebody needs to go out there and rattle the chains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these kids can get an idea where the baskets
Yeah.
are at. But that was the whole thing is like if they can get an auditory signal from the target and then somebody standing next to them to like help them orient their body and help them get an idea of where they're pointed towards in relation to how they need to throw the disc. And they were getting really good. And they were all super excited about it, of course. But
Well, that's the thing, kids. They also you can change the last second. They're like, it didn't bother them as long as they're having fun. You can
Right.
be like,
Yeah.
this is a made up game. I just made it up 5 minutes ago.
what's
for
the name
this
of this
drill.
game? I win.
Yeah.
Oh, because you always win. I get it.
Exactly.
But Marcus, how do you feel, man? Because I know that was that's something that you're very passionate about. We've talked about it quite a bit on the podcast. That you have always felt that. Well, everybody's running around in circles talking about how do we grow the sport, how do we diversify the sport, how do we do this and improve the experience for certain demographics. And you know, you're one of the people that always reminds me that it's all about the kids. So this had to be huge for you because you haven't been able to do anything like this in a while.
It was huge. I guess the only thing we could have done better was try to get their parents involved somehow.
Yeah, and that's hard because the way I understand it, a lot of those kids live on campus, and they're from their families live elsewhere.
They drop them off like Monday through Thursday. Or,
Yeah,
As long as we can, get these kids involved and, let their surrounding friends, cousins, even if they got a dog, if we can get everybody involved, that's definitely the way we're going to grow the sport. And just seeing all those kids out there, I mean, just like you said, it's a tearjerker. It definitely want to make me cry and break down. But, these guys are just having a great time. So it puts a smile on your face. And Charity was really, really, really like forthcoming with everything we needed. She had the baskets ready. She had the
Shout out to Charity Christian.
Yeah.
Angel Woman. She's super cool. And I knew, we talked about this a little bit before we went in, but after DDO, because I went out to Hetlinger Developmental Services with Scott Stokely, which you guys are going to see this probably Wednesday, I guess. So earlier, I just uploaded the video of our trip to Emporia for DDO.
Nice.
And in there, you'll see a little brief portion of the event, the Blue Power event that Scott did at Hetlinger Developmental Services. I went there and filmed that. There's a full video of that coming soon. But the reason I side note to that is because while I was there filming, one of the staff members at this developmental services center came up to me and informed me that one of the patients there, or residents, I'm not sure what's more appropriate to term them as, but was not supposed to be on film. So thankfully it was right at the beginning, so I was able to be a little bit more conscious of it going forward, but and then be aware of it going back and editing and post. But I knew that could very well be the case at TSB, and sure enough, there were 2 kids that were not to be filmed. But Charity was really good about pulling me aside beforehand and pointing out the 2 students that didn't need to be on film.
Right.
And then, it's obviously one of those things like I want to stay out of the way because it's more important that they have fun than than me getting good video or whatever. But man, like I said, it was just really, really cool. All the kids loved it. And that I could see anyway, just me kind of as ex officio status with the club board now, that was the thing that really lit me up when I first started running tournaments was the experiences that you were able to bring to other people.
Right.
And I could see everybody that went out there to volunteer, every single person. Because I want to shout out a bunch of people real quick. It's probably a good time to do this going forward. But David August Stebbins, Harper's dad, he was there. He came out to help. Jim Becker, and I believe his eldest kid is named Joseph. Justin Becker. Jim and Justin Becker were there. Ruthie, Micah Miller, and who else came out? Bryke and his wife Donna. Bryke and his wife Donna. And that was everybody, right? And of course Maggie came
And
out.
Will and Marcus and Maggie.
And me and Marcus and Maggie.
And Robert Zavala.
And Robert Zavala. Can't forget Big Z.
Big Z.
Yeah.
Everybody. So I brought all the kids together and I'm like, hey guys, this is Big Z over here. Like, and one of the girls was like, Big Z.
Yeah, they loved it.
and, and right there I was like, yep, that's his group.
He was so good. Obviously it's Robert. We know he's good with the crowd, but dude, with the kids, that kid, dude, Robert was all like the kids were eating him up. Like I remember there at one point I came up on him with the camera. You'll see this in the video, but he's coming around and he's got the disc and he's got one of the kids is holding up the disc and he's like, all right, now imagine that this is your dinner plate.
Yeah.
And you got your food all on this plate. Now you don't want to you don't want to throw the you don't want to throw the food all over yourself. You want to fling the food on your buddy over there. So you got to keep it real flat and pull it through and let it go flat. And the kids were laughing, and I mean, he was just so natural and comfortable with them, And that's the whole thing is these kids, and this is always what I try to be aware of when you go into a situation like this, where it's not necessarily just like your normal school children or your normal audience.
Yeah.
This is a situation where these kids are not. I don't even know what the PC terminology is now. But these kids have a difficulty that they're overcoming in their life, and this school is catered to them. But these students get overlooked by the education system at large in almost all ways. Like, you think schools are underfunded as it is. You imagine these schools they're funded mainly by private donations.
Yeah.
And so they have even less resources to give these kids a positive educational experience. And so when they do get activities or something like that, something not part of the regular curriculum that comes in, I don't imagine that they ever get really like a full experience. It's almost like, especially because how many people really are even capable of like tweaking any kind of a class or workshop around kids that can't communicate the same way you do. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one thing to be a good teacher. It's another thing to be able to teach somebody that can't use all five senses normally, So it's an added difficulty in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see everybody there connecting with the students on a personal level and developing a rapport, and the kids were really responding to it. And there was a lot of side conversations, like the kids, several of the kids came up to me and asked me questions about disc golf and about the club.
It's obvious they can't see if they go up the wheel asking questions about disc golf.
Yeah.
Just joking, Will.
That's the thing with kids. Like, if you just give them attention at their level, like, it's the same. And like in pediatrics, like if a kid, even if they're 3 or 4, they can tell you if they're hurting. So you like go talk with them first, and you're not just like talking to the parent like, okay, is he having a headache? Yes, no, and the kid's right there, and they're like, no, I don't have a tummy ache. It's kind of, if you interact with kids at their level and start talking with them, you'll figure out how to interact best with them, and they'll respond. And then once you see them responding, then and so tailoring it to them. But it's also, you got to think about, like, growing up, if you had to go 4 days a week outside your house and it might be 2 hours away and you don't see your parents for a couple days, like, that'd be pretty challenging,
especially as a
at
kid.
certain ages, like a young kid.
And
like,
you can't see.
Yeah, I mean, it's trying to learn all that, like how to interact, but then I'm sure they develop very close friendships because all the same people. They're going through all the grades with all these people that are similar. So that's a good thing about that program.
You can also tell the staff there has really, really close relationships with a lot of those students. Like the way the staff and the students interact, it's very familial, and the kids, you can see that the staff treats the kids almost like that they're almost like their own children. Like they are caring for these children in a deeper way than just their education.
Right.
And the kids respond to these teachers and these staff the same in turn. It's when one of the staff, reaches out and puts their hand on one of the students' shoulders to keep them from going the wrong direction or something like that. They like come right in and tuck themselves in with the staff member. You can see that it's a very, very deep, trust-rooted relationship that they have with those kids. And that's just one of those things, when you see it, it's hard to not want to support it. It's it's kind of a no-brainer. You want to do what you can to keep that kind of thing going, because this is an interesting side note, but about halfway through the clinic, I had to do an interview with Terry Miller for the PDGA board election. And I thought it would be much easier to just walk inside and get on the Wi-Fi and have this conversation with Terry. I figured I'd be able to find somewhere to put the gimbal up on a thing and have it be steady. Of course, as is usually the case with me, nothing goes according to plan. But I felt like it was a really good conversation I had with Terry. But it was, the whole thing was, where was I going with that?
How to communicate.
The staff communicating.
Interacting. Terry Miller.
What was he ruined it. Terry, you ruined it.
Yeah, I disrupted that conversation twice as I was walking out the building.
Disrupt.
No, it was fine. But the whole point was
family.
Yes. Okay.
Psychic.
Yeah, you got it. But it was an opportunity there while I was talking to him being directly reminded in a visual way in front of me while that conversation was happening, like, this is what it's about. You know what I mean? This experience, this is what it's about. So it was a weird grounding experience. So yeah, my train of thought totally left me at the station right there in the middle.
That's
of
why
very profound.
That's one thing I always have to remind myself, because I get wrapped up in details, as some of y'all know, planning, executing events, but you still have to interact and say, try to learn everybody's name, try to learn what they play, what divisions they play, what disc they like to throw, like still try to have those, even if it's busy, 30-second conversations, what's going on. Because I think that's important, because sometimes you can get lost in the shuffle with, all right, you disc, sign in here, do this over here. We got 10 minutes to get this group started. But we can't forget about interacting with the membership and playing some disc golf, why you got into it in the first place.
There's a certain part about like being like all about details and like robotic that people don't really care about.
Right. Yeah.
Like, hey man, I'm a person, dude. Can you say hi to? I mean, that's what. That's one thing I definitely try to live by. Is like, if I see somebody, I'm not gonna be like straight to business. I'm like, hey, how you doing? How you feeling today? You doing okay? All right, let's get down to business.
Do you need any beef jerky?
Yeah, seriously. I will definitely
Number
try to
one
sell
sales.
You. It's the compliment sandwich, man. Like, hey, how you doing? Let's talk about some business, and hey, we can finish off with some familiarity. So
I like it.
Yeah, and I think the people that you see that kids respond to the most are people that don't treat them like they're made out of glass. You can tell some people are just uncomfortable interacting with children. They don't know how to relate to them.
Yeah,
it's helpful when you're somebody like me that never grew up and probably never will. So I don't know. I'm still on their level in a certain way, and I still remember. Oh, this is where I was going. This is where my train of thought was going.
Choo-choo.
Something that I was telling Terry in the interview. Yeah, it always comes. That's why we do this long form, not Q&A, no format, no structure, just talk.
Come on the train.
It'll come back.
And right.
My train of thought didn't leave me. It's still boarding at the station, and I was rushing.
Neurons.
Yeah,
it's a long neuron.
Insert sound effect right there. But no, so one of the things I was telling Terry is I feel like my experience in my formative years and as a child, being in a really poor area and being at a low economic standing in a poor area, and also in different ways, like being bullied in school because I was bigger than everybody or I was poorer than everybody or whatever. I didn't have your typical household dynamic, family dynamic as a child. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of reasons and ways that I kind of felt or was made to feel inadequate or neglected or left out. Mm-hmm. And that always felt terrible. And as a child, like that's awful. Like to feel like nobody wants you around, Yeah. And that made me understand how that feels. And so as I grew up as an adult, and then my mom would talk to me about those feelings and stuff like that. And I remember like at an early age, I just wanted to make sure that whatever I was doing in my life, it never made anybody feel like that, And so that's a big part of why I think I'm as equipped or as capable as I am as a tournament director or an event planner, coordinator, whatever, is because I'm naturally putting myself in other people's shoes and trying to think from somebody else's perspective, like what's valuable to this person, what can we do differently to make it better for them? But that's also, I was in the middle of an emotional tear-jerking moment when I started this interview with Terry, and then it was weird how some of the questions just kind of lined up with everything that's been going on lately and where I was at the moment. And he was like asking me, he's like, the PDGA has the following initiatives, and it's like youth education, club and local regional investments, and blah 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 blah. And he was like, how would you prioritize these? And da da da. And I was like, kids, man. Yeah. Youth and education is number one all day.
Well, just think about the summertime. Parents right now are scrambling to get one of their kids to this baseball field and one of their kids to this baseball field at 8:30, and one then they got travel tournaments on their weekends, and it's they're buying equipment, they're taking their kid, they all have vans, because they come through on Wednesday night tags, like they're coming to Seven Oaks. Is this a baseball field? And every night it's like a car full of kids. Like, is this the tournament? And think about it, Cane Ridge, they have all those tournaments on the same day, and we have to hit their cars when we keep telling them to move off the hole. Hole 2 on Baby Cane.
Interesting development on that. I don't know if I ever actually communicated this with you guys, but I was contacted by Metro Parts specifically, and it's always one of those things when Metro emails you or calls you, it's always like a certain part of you goes, "Oh God, what's wrong now? Like, what did we do? What did we do now?
What did we leave out in the course?
Yeah, what did we forget about?" And so you kind of freak out for a minute, but it was actually, and this has proven itself to be true more and more over the last couple of years as we've kind of invested in that relationship. But they were calling us to try and help us with something, and they knew that the cars from the baseball area had been a problem for disc golf events, and they were calling to get specifics on what areas of the course were being affected by the baseball parking, because they were going to put signage in to keep the cars from parking there. And I was like, yeah, buddy, go
And there
Metro.
were some people that mentioned that to us at the bag tag for Cane Ridge. And they were like, somebody's going to get hit. So, because also, they're practicing baseball warm-ups, right out there, so they could also get hit. So
that's nothing. I remember one tournament.
So Metro's listening.
They are.
Members of Nashville, Music City Disc Golf in Nashville.
Yeah, and it's great. Like the relationship that
it might be 2 months later, but they're listening.
Yeah. MCDG and Metro have a really good relationship, and it's very encouraging. But I remember at one bag tag, I walked around that baseball field for like 2 hours. I talked to every person out there that looked like they were supervising children in some way, shape, or form. Nobody would own up to having the cars that were parked over there. But every time I was talking to them, I'd be in the middle of explaining, like, you guys are parked in front of a target for flying projectiles. And then right in the middle of explaining that, you'd hear, thunk! And be like, that was one right there. So I don't know, and I tried. I gave an earnest college A effort, all that good stuff. Nobody would own up to having the vehicles. I was like, all right, well, park at your own risk, I guess. Maybe that's the sign we put up. I don't know.
Caution flying disc, not responsible for dings.
Grown men playing disc golf.
Yeah. Ding, ding.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was really cool to be out at TSB again. And also, I mean, like the family there just keeps growing too, because our relationship with them started with, Carrie Harold and Andy Ritter and I forget the name of the gentleman that was the president of the school, or probably still is, but those were our contacts there. And now you're working with Charity Christian, who, man, just super awesome. And I can't applaud you guys enough for following through with that. That's dope. Yeah. And other cool things in the works. You guys saw recently, posted a video. We're bringing disc golf to McCord Park in Lyles, Tennessee. Well, we're helping the crew from the Broken Steel. Lyles, Tennessee, out in Hickman County.
Oh, Lord. Why? Tell me why.
Why are we bringing disc golf to Hickman County?
Good.
Why are you bringing like emphasis to every name that's west of us right now? Lyles and
I don't know. Dr. Hoyt started it, but it's also
feels good.
It's Hickman County. Do you know anything about Hickman County?
Lyles, Tennessee, Hickman County.
Have you seen the meme where it's like the Lion King? It's like Mufasa and Simba on the ridge and the sun setting, and Mufasa saying that dark spot over this. The entire kingdom you see before you is yours, except that dark spot over there. We never go there. That's Hickman County.
if you're thinking about Nashville, that's Antioch.
I'm talking trash, but you guys, that's kind of my thing.
Shots
now,
fired.
We love Hickman County,
and
that's why we're and
saying it
Antioch.
like Lyles.
We love everybody and everywhere.
County.
Don't get your panties in a wad, or boxers, or whatever is not offensive to you.
Overalls.
Yeah, but they're country out there in Lyles, Tennessee, out in Hickman County. It's a rural area, and that's what's really cool about. I mean, that's the perfect place for disc golf. I mean, these areas, they have lots of space. You're in a big urban center in Nashville, and space to put in disc golf courses is in short supply. Yeah. And I want to give golf snaps to the entire crew out at the Broken Still: Justin Morris, Devin Bergstrom, Erica Bergstrom, Jason Jones, Bobby Wims, Tommy, all those guys and girls out at the Broken Still, because they have taken this whole project on themselves, like of their own volition. They approached the Parks Board there in Lyles about possibly putting in disc golf there. The park has a bunch of unused space. They got it approved. Of course, the Parks Department there, shocker, doesn't have any money, so we've got to fund it ourselves. But that's how whole sponsorships work.
Yep.
And so I'm helping them with my experience with going to these kind of meetings and what kind of funds you're going to need to raise and how you can structure all that and stuff. So I'm in a group chat with them. They're really doing all the work, and I'm just being the walking Rolodex that I am and putting them in contact with the right people. But I want to say golf snaps to the Broken Still crew for taking the initiative to start this whole project. It's freaking awesome. I'm excited. that I get to just come alongside and kind of help out with it. It's dope.
If you can get disc golf in the Golden Gate Park in San Francisco, California, and you can go to those meetings. I know that episodes they have on the Disc Golf Network of that. I mean, they had probably the most regulations. They had neighbors coming out against it, and they still just continue to talk with people and build relationships. So you can put disc golf anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's the moral of the story is usually it just takes a couple phone calls, figuring out the right people who make the decisions, and not doing too much email and phone, but showing up and showing them a disc and showing them what you're about. I think that's usually how people, because if you're just like, I sent them an email and they didn't respond. It's like, no, you got to go there, because that's what people that get stuff done, they show up on the doorstep and like, hey, here's our group. Here's what we want to do.
True.
And if you tell them a plan, here's our plan, more people are much more likely to agree with the plan or disagree or here's how to change it, instead of, hey, where can we put disc golf in the town? It's like, no. But if you're like, we could put 9 holes in this place, that it could be a beginner course and it could be, this much room, that's going to go over much better.
I think,
so.
yeah, and I think this is an interesting note, and just because this podcast is, it's multimedia, so this is an opportunity to use as a teaching moment for anybody that's watching or listening to this podcast, and you are interested or maybe in the process of trying to get a course put in your town or area. This is the difficulty that happens is, one, the people that are trying to get the disc golf course put in typically have no experience with going to these kind of board meetings and council meetings. They don't know how these meetings work, how the organizations are structured. They don't know how to formulate their presentation to be the most effective. They don't have any experience or reference point for this stuff. And then on the other side of that sword, you've also got a parks department who has no freaking clue what disc golf is, most likely. There might be one person on the park staff that plays, and so they're aware of it. They know that it exists. It's a thing, but they have no idea how it works. So now the problem with that, obviously we're excited to tell everybody about disc golf, but when you go into those conversations, it's real easy to, like, if you haven't done it a few times, you go in there like, hey, let me tell you everything about disc golf. It works just like traditional golf, except we use discs and we're the lever and we propel the disc. Yeah. You got putters, mid-ranges, drivers. They don't need or want to know how disc golf works. So that's part of the big labor, is figuring out what the pertinent information even is. Right. What do you talk to this parks? What do they want to know? How do I prepare that information and not prepare a whole bunch of information that doesn't matter to them? Right. So and really, if you don't have somebody that can kind of speak on your behalf in those scenarios, the only way to get that experience is by doing it over and over again and just forcing yourself into those conversations at those tables. Right. And so if I can maybe grease that wheel a little bit for them and go sit with them in a meeting and be ready, because I know from talking to the Metro Parks Board, it's like, okay, well, you just need, you want a site plan, you want dates, you want numbers, you want this, and this, and you want it how you want it, when you want it. Okay, let's get that done. Yeah. And then we can stop having the conversation before we say too much and you have second thoughts.
Because they got to have, like, it's like they have their forms, and it's like, did you fill out that form? It's like, if you didn't start with that
TPS
form.
report.
Yeah, did you get that TPS report? No, they have their forms that have to start everything. And then once you get in front of the right people, you can tell them. But yeah, it's because they're worried about safety. How much is it going to cost? How much room is it going to take up? Like,
are we going to get
It's
sued?
Different concerns that they have. They're not like, is it a left finishing hole or a right finishing hole? Is it 250 feet?
Will it hyzer?
Yeah, exactly.
Is the sun in the way, or do you got to worry about the wind?
Yeah, exactly. Can you play in the rain? No, if you tell them it's relatively cheap, and once it's installed, it's in. Like, you don't have to do upkeep, and
cut that grass.
That's and it's a security feature, because if there's certain areas of the park that have people that you get traffic through the park, so you're getting more people walking through, and so people are not just because. There's a lot of nooks and crannies in parks where people can hide.
Yeah,
crooks and nannies.
Some people just drive around in their cars all day in a park and just.
Can you imagine if it was like Mary Poppins and like the chimney sweep guy, but he was like kind of sooted up like from the shadows with a
evil
knife.
Chimney sweep.
Yeah, give me your money, Joker.
Hey.
kind of like a Grinch, just
darker.
Yeah, sure.
Wow, that was.
Give me your dish, see?
That was awkward.
I'm just thinking of the people at Cedar Hill that break into cars and they get the disc and they're like, this is not worth that much money. They need to start spreading the word. Like, if you get all these discs, you're not going to get that much money. Like, don't rob from the disc golfers.
The thought that I can't like keep myself from having is that the people that are robbing those cars at Cedar Hill are the guys sitting at the edge of the parking lot in their really nice car, just like looking super shady, just staring around. You never see them like interacting with anybody, so it's like not necessarily the thing that Cedar Hill is kind of known for.
Yeah.
They never show any evidence of that, but they're always there at the edge of the parking lot, just sitting in their car, looking around with sunglasses on, like they're mad at everybody. And it's like, is it those guys? Like, is it the guy that I see every time I come here? Is he the one that's jacking these cars?
I see him pass me 6 times. But
Yeah, exactly.
Deep thoughts with the Last Cash podcast
With Jack Handy.
with Hand Jackie. What?
Oh,
Word salad.
Hand. Yeah. Cancel.
hello.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. Oh! I got it.
Are you sure?
I'm here to defend pineapple on pizza.
Oh, hey, it's a 2-on-1. All right, so this one time.
What is?
It's a heartbeat.
Dude, MJ's playing the drums.
Nice.
Is that what that is?
I'm pretty sure that's what that is. If you guys can hear that at home, MJ's just like his daddy. He's making a whole bunch of noise.
See if we can, Oh, I know exactly. Oh, gosh.
Are the Mongolians marching on us?
We
at war!
Pineapple on pizza. Let's talk about it.
Okay, we can unpack that. I mean, I will help you defend it because I actually have a little bit of leeway to give. Maybe a little bit of a...
Have you guys ever heard of a pineapple dessert pizza? Not the fruit pizza, like all the fruits, but it's pineapple, has a little bit of sugar on it.
Dude, he's kicking a raucous beat, bro.
Yeah, he's on the steps. It's the steps.
He's banging on the steps?
Yeah, the railings.
Oh, it sounds like a big like gong.
Bang on the railings. Dun, 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 dun.
So
bang on the railings.
I think I bought maybe 1 or 2 pizzas, and I think I did one half and half with pineapple.
Yeah.
And I come up here to the studio. I'm like, dude, Will, we got pizza. And he's like, yeah,
No, you don't.
I was like,
You did until you put pineapple on
I
it.
was like, it's half and half, bro. He's like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, man. You know?
It's tainted. It's contaminated.
It got some
We
sugar.
got to fumigate it.
So you like pineapple on pizza?
Oh, yeah, I love pineapple
Yeah.
on pizza. It's like, you know, if you get into the water and it's like, oh, it's cool, and then you see like a bum come up and like they stick their feet in the water, and you're like, I think I'm gonna get out the water.
Yeah.
Get a bum bump.
That's-
We're kidding. We love the homeless.
The first board meeting I ever went to was at Tailgaters, and we were all getting pizzas, hanging out, and I come up with the Canadian bacon and pineapple pizza, and Will was like, he's like, yeah, we need you on the board, but wait a second, you get pineapple, like,
But never again.
like no, bro,
But never again.
Yeah, exactly. And I set it down, and everybody's like, hey, if anybody wants a piece, and everybody's like,
No.
No, it's all right.
good.
It's all right. No,
I was like, well, it was just a courteous offer. I didn't really want anybody to eat my
I think
pizza.
it's the hot and cold, you know, because like pineapple, like it retains
Yeah.
that coldness no matter what,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
then Will's like, "Holy shit, this is not right."
I like the jalapenos and
Pizza's supposed to
pineapple.
be hot throughout.
I will say this. man.
Jalapenos and pineapple and some kind of meat. That's a good combo, bro.
Banana peppers.
I mean, I could see it. Here's the problem, though: is my first introduction to pineapple on pizza is that bullshit Hawaiian pizza with Canadian bacon and pineapple, and I'm like, dude, okay, can we pretend any harder than this pizza? It's not Canadian. The bacon, it's ham. And what is
That's what
what
they
is
call
Hawaiian
bacon in Canada.
What is
Ham.
Hawaiian about this other than the fact that you threw some pineapple on it? Like, that's a pretty big reach to call it Hawaiian. Like, so to me, thematically,
But then there's
philosophically,
Hawaiian burger.
the whole pizza in itself was on some bullshit. But I want to say, now, my opinion may have been skewed by the overall scope of the pizza itself, not necessarily the fact that there was pineapple on it. I may have just identified the pineapple as the problem with that pizza in my mouth, in the connection between my mouth and my brain. Because when you taste it, I'm like, the pineapple, no, it's sweet. This doesn't need to be sweet. But when I went to dinner, when Avery Jenkins got to town when we did the combine with him, he and I went to dinner at Tailgate.
Okay.
And he ordered a Jamaican jerk pizza at Tailgate. And it has pineapple on it. And so we were about done. We were about to leave, and he had a piece of the Jamaican jerk pizza left sitting there. And he was like, dude, do you want to try that? I feel bad leaving it sitting there. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's got pineapple on it. He's like, you're one of those guys? I was like, well, no, I mean, I just
yeah, when Avery Jenkins.
You gotta own that shit, bro.
Yeah, well, I said,
it depends on.
Shit.
I kind of stuttered step, but I did say, no, man, I don't get down with pineapple on pizza. And he was like, have you ever had the Jamaican jerk? I was like, no.
Marcus Rogers brings you pineapple pizza. Nah, I'm good. Avery Jenkins. As long
I took a
Paul
bite of it.
Macbeth, if he brings you a pineapple pizza.
I mean, dude, I'm saying I was convinced not by Avery Jenkins. I was convinced by the Jamaican jerk.
Yeah.
There was a thing about it. It was like, okay, this isn't.
You're acting like a real jerk.
This pizza is not acting like a jerk. And it seems like more of a legit concept because it's got some spice, it's got some flavor, it's got some ethnic
flavor
and I guess intangible implications, which I always like. I mean, white people food is boring.
I went to a Mexican restaurant this weekend, and one of my buddies, he got fajitas Hawaiian, and it was fajitas, and they just threw a pineapple ring on top, and that was the only difference.
Was it spelled like Jawai Hawaiian?
No, I forgot how the guy said it. It was like
Hawaiian.
Yawai?
Hawaii.
Lo siento, amigo.
Yeah.
No pineapple
So
aquí.
Sorry, it's not actually Hawaiian. We were
Yeah.
just making those sounds because it's fun.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Right.
language. It's what we did.
My wardrobe has gotten significantly more pineapple.
Pineapple-y, dude. You've been rocking pineapples on everything.
Pineapple.
love
In
it.
America.
I love it.
I went to Sean Groten's house. Shout out to Sean Groten, Nashville Disc Golf.
Shout out.
And I think they had a pineapple growing in the middle of the table. And I'm like, can you grow pineapple? Just like take the top of it off and just plant it? Is that how
They
it works?
can?
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like the fruit is the seed. That's one of those plants.
We
I've
went-
been eating pineapple seeds
In
this
high
whole
school,
time
we
and
did
not
a
knowing.
band competition in Hawaii, and we went to the
Oh, you're
Dole
fancy, man.
Dole Pineapple Plantation. They
Yeah.
had the best like pineapple frozen yogurt. Man, it was good.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It was
With
tasty.
like
You went to
organic,
Hawaii
like
for
local
yogurt,
Hawaiians. Or local Hawaiians.
We went to
Local
Hawaii for a
pineapples.
band competition.
Yogurt.
Made with
Yeah.
real Hawaiians.
So you got one of those.
Froyo.
So you got one of those this time in a Hawaiian band camp stories.
Yep.
This one time in
The
a Hawaiian
the
band camp?
alcohol theoretically was hidden in the back of the toilet.
In a pineapple?
No,
Oh,
just no.
But that's an idea. You poke a hole in a pineapple like you did with a watermelon.
yeah.
No, the way you
We
smuggle
don't know what
in,
you do with your watermelons. But
the way
yeah.
you
Well, no, I'm
smuggle
saying
in
in
alcohol.
college they always stick a bottle of vodka in a watermelon, and then
Yeah, the
Yeah.
the
that's
way
what I'm
you
saying.
smuggle in
Anybody ever try to
alcohol-
do that with a pineapple? That seems like
No.
way better.
No,
Let's do it
That's
party,
all you guys.
pineapple party.
That's all you guys.
next week.
That's all,
in the
that ship
Sapphire
has sailed
Lounge.
for me.
Yeah,
No, next week in the Sapphire Lounge we will have a
You guys have
PGA.
fun?
pineapple daiquiri.
Oh God, with pineapple Hawaiian pizza.
I got to email my probation officer. Hold on.
Yeah,
right.
Hawaiian pizza, pineapple daiquiris, and a pig roasting on a spit with an apple in its mouth.
Oh, it's gonna be lit, bro. It's so turnt.
Yeah,
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, you guys. After we come back, and you guys, and during the break, you guys can check out a little bit of the footage from Tennessee School for the Blind, the clinic that Marcus led the charge on last night. So check that out in the break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about some of the news for MCO and Mill Ridge, and maybe talk a little bit about our trip to Emporia, because our road trip video of the Dynamic Disc Open just loaded up to YouTube. So you guys can also check that out after you're done watching this one. Watch this one first. Or whatever. I don't really care. We'll be right back.
you made it. Let's look for your shoe. Let's find your shoe.
Yeah.
Where? There it is. I see it. I call that one lefty. You know why? It's your left foot. Your left foot goes in lefty. Yeah.
You got it?
That's your left foot.
Dude, good job. You nailed it.
That's your left foot.
Bring like baskets over here if we can. See if they're okay with that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tell him, Coach.
Yeah, we can.
of what some people might think or say.
We got people.
We got people thinking they people too.
I got friends and
Have your people
Different
call my people.
area codes.
I've got friends.
Area. I've got friends.
I was just thinking I've got friends in high places,
Oh.
low places.
Or-
I got friends.
And some of them got the bands.
Yes.
I was trying to think of something random with friends.
What's up with Garth Brooks not having streaming music? Like he only has one service he can stream on. He's not
trying
on
to make that
Spotify,
money, bro.
iTunes.
I think it's Beyonce also, just because
Yeah.
Beyonce fans out there.
You know, interestingly, that's the thing though, is like
What's up? What's up?
you've seen people do this throughout history in the entertainment industry. Like throw their entire leverage and weight behind a cause, like pick an Alamo, a hill
Tidal.
that they're going to die on, and really go hard for it, and then it completely backfires.
Remember that one?
What was
Kanye, Tidal.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Tidal, and you
Yeah,
can only get the
Tidal.
album.
Or the Fire
Or
Festival.
Jay-Z. Oh, yeah.
No, I
Hot
was,
fire.
you're right.
Hot garbage.
Well, I'm thinking about all the streaming services, all the
Yeah.
social media apps that come
Yeah.
and go, and you've always got like the big three or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've always been like, why do we have so many? Why are you creating more? Like Facebook, Instagram does everything. Like, and the same thing. It's like, dude, I've got Netflix, I've got Hulu, I've got Amazon Prime. How many more streaming services do we need?
I just dropped Hulu and Disney Plus.
Who'd you pick up?
I had too many. I have YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Because I watch a lot of
I
sports.
don't have that one. Yeah.
And YouTube Premium, which I did a family plan, so I gave some of the logins. So
But this is the
Do
thing:
you
is
need
the
more
water
water.
brother.
family? Do you need more family members on that?
Hey.
hey,
Let
what's
me
up,
in,
brother?
Holmes.
What's up, brother Marcus?
Hey, bro.
But what I'm saying is the market is diluted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like you see people like if Garth Brooks threw all of his stuff, and it's almost like a Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan
Right.
threw his whole weight behind Spotify. Spotify
Right.
offered him a deal that would work for him. He rolled the dice, said it's worth the
Yeah.
risk because they're offering me the money and the terms that I like.
Right.
And it worked out for Joe Rogan. Now it didn't work out so well when Napster came out and Lars Ulrich went nuts and said, "You're
Yeah.
stealing from musicians," and everybody's like, "You're a shitty drummer. What the hell are you like?" You
Are
like,
you still talking?
yeah, and that was an unfortunate decision
Yeah.
for
Going to
Lars.
LimeWire.
Right, but if Garth Brooks were to choose some random new streaming service, thinking, "Hey, they're going to give me
Yeah.
a little bit of stock, maybe I can get a little,
Yeah.
high royalty off of that." I don't know. That's the thing. When you're in that kind of a position, you get those opportunities, and it's like every investment is also a roll of the dice. Much like something we were talking about off the air. It's like anytime you work with certain people, it's always a roll of the dice. You got to have the risk to benefit analysis going on there with those people. It's kind of
Well, that's the tough thing about most disc golf people work for free.
options.
Work for free.
Mm-hmm.
You get what you pay for.
Yep.
And sometimes you got to take if somebody's helping you out. But I think that's one thing that I know we're going to see is TD compensation.
Oh yeah.
Now, more of it is probably a percentage of, like I don't know, 1% of it. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I feel like as the sport gets bigger, then people are going to be more. TD is going to be their job title.
Yeah.
There are already a couple out there.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to happen more, or there's going to be able to make more money. So to encourage people, and then there's going to be tiers of TDs, which I know they're already kind of talking about this.
There's a bunch of different possible strategy points that are being discussed, and I know that it's something that the PDGA has been talking about for a long time. And I think that if we can come up with a comprehensive and an adequate way to incentivize and compensate good tournament directors, there's a lot of other improvements that we can make to the sport.
Yeah.
There are adjustments that we can make to the competition manual and the tour standards that, I'm saying, like, if we can vet and equip our tournament directors better, then we are better able to provide a better experience to players, for sure, in all ways. And I know that one thing I think, and I mentioned this with Terry last night, was I think like one really easy thing, and I've been talking to Sean about it, and it's something that would be easy to do, and I think you'll probably see some kind of variation of it in the near future. But I was thinking, because if you go to the events tab on the PDGA website and you go and you search in the advanced search settings, you can go in and search by a tournament director's name, and so that way you can pull up a list of tournaments that a person has run. Mm-hmm. But I think if you could create a button on a player profile that would bring up a curated record of tournaments that they've directed Just being able to access and share your resume as a tournament director easily through the PDGA website, I feel like that's invaluable for somebody in our position, running tournaments a lot. If you were able to, have an easily accessible, tournament director archive resume that you could hand off to somebody to say, like, look, this is the justification for me having these opinions, is I've had these experiences. This is the breadth of my knowledge. I think that's valuable. And then also other things that are being considered is possibly for each tier level of tournament within the tour standards, they're being created some wiggle room for a tournament director to bring in some money to compensate them for their time and experience, or pay for ancillary expenses or whatever. Just have it, where a percentage of the income from the tournament can go back to the staff.
That's one thing. Ledgestone, they pay volunteers, or they pay.
Oh yeah,
like
obviously. Any tournament
director,
if
you have that much money, but
any tournament director worth their salt, if they had that kind of financial backing, I think they would at least consider doing that, or would want to. But so we've got an event coming up this weekend. It's an event that I ran last year, and it's a historic event for Nashville. Last year, Zach Evans was going to run it, and then he had some stuff come up in his personal life and had to resign from his position on the board and kind of clear up his schedule. And so I ended up stepping into TD, the Seven Oaks Summer Solstice, which has always been one of my favorite events to play. And at the time, I didn't realize that it was the 30th anniversary. And then we went into it, and I realized that was kind of like a historical milestone for the tournament. And then we had HB and David Eiler and B. Gill and everybody came out to play. So it was really awesome experiences. So it is one of our mainstay flagship events. Yep. And this year, the Seven Oaks Summer Solstice is leveling up from a C tier to a B tier.
2021 Seven Oaks Summer Solstice.
Tell us a little bit more about that, Dr. Hoy.
2021 Seven Oaks Summer Solstice, presented by Dynamic Disc. It's a two-rounder, one round with tee times each day, Saturday and Sunday. It's the solstice weekend, the longest day of the year, and there's so many other tournaments going on, and it's just great to see how many different tournaments are filling up. There's an A tier, the Magic City Mega Bowl is this weekend. There's a big tournament in Kentucky. There's a tournament, I believe, in Knoxville. I mean, it's crazy to think of how many people, the percentage of people that are playing in tournaments that are full. We have 160 amateurs and 30 pros right now, so 190 for a B tier. And so we're doing 2 rounds of Ruth Miller's the TD. She's doing an awesome job. We're in that last few days before the tournament mode, which if you're a tournament director of a big event, that's everything's happening. People are sending you a million questions, and you get the layout set, trophies, water, payout, all the stuff that if you think running a tournament's just the stuff that happens on the day of the tournament, there's planning for, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, even longer than that, depending on what you got going on. You got to make sure all the right people you got all the right helpers, staff, volunteers.
I think honestly, man, with any tournament, even a C tier, which this has historically been, at some level, if you're doing it right, you're planning a year in advance. Right. Even for a smaller one, which there
even
are no
bag
small
tags.
Tournaments anymore. Yeah, what tournament is small anymore? You don't even have to promote anything anymore. You just post it on Disc Golf Scene and it fills up.
Exactly. And so we're kind of getting that, it's tee times each day for 2 days. The first will be random, based on randomizer in your division. And then the second day it'll be on order of finish based on the first day. And so we'll really be able to say, lead card, chase card, because a lot of these tee times we've not been able to have that, because we've not had 2-round shotgun starts. We've not had a lead card, a chase card. So I think some of those nerves might be coming up in some of the, because it's like, this guy next to you, if you start not birdieing, depending on what division you're in, you didn't get hole 1 or hole 4 at Seven Oaks, like you're going to start to feel that pressure. And that's a different kind of being in the lead and being able to hold the lead, because that's one thing I was thinking about where tee time events, you don't have that as much if you just have 1 round of tee times. You're not getting that. You're in the lead. You got to maintain the lead, or you're way behind. You got to make up ground. And so, but you get a lot more people in. So this event is going to be, it's going to have side games. There's a Pelican Snowballs frozen ice truck is going to be there.
Yeah, boy.
And we're going to have some on-site payout. Sad Dog Disc. Shout out to Jake Graham and Dynamic Disc Online. So we're going to have a combination. This guy's a local guy that's really starting to do a lot of stuff, and having a lot of inventory for disc.
You guys will know him as the guy with the 2 giant Great Danes.
Yeah, exactly. Sad Dog Disc. Shout out. We'll have beef jerky for sale. Marcus will be selling that. No.
All day.
Hey, jerky.
he would say, "Hey, welcome, guys. Nice to see you guys. Does anyone need any jerky before the round? It's going to be a long round." And some people actually are like, "Yeah, I think I'll take some."
Yeah, it's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
You be out there playing, you need some jerky, bro.
Here's a funny story that Sean Sinclair told me on Sunday when we were out at Mill Ridge. He said that when overstable discs first started coming out, and everybody started buying them up, you'd see these new players that were throwing overstable discs, like forcing them on big flex lines and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And he said that they started calling those people jerky boys. Because they were jerking the discs over.
Yeah.
And then he said at some point the term evolved into je crois boyer. So they would like talk about these people in public in circles, like with them close within earshot, and say, "Oh, is that je crois boyer?" And then everybody would have a laugh about at somebody's expense. Which that's
like when you're growing up and your dad's like, J.C. Penney's Jacques Penney.
Yeah.
Did anybody have that?
Jacques Penney.
Yeah, that was for some reason that was always my dad's go-to joke.
Yeah, side rail. Sorry about that.
But the Solstice, we got 750 added cash. It's a B tier. The biggest difference in B tier is the money, the added cash,
and the rules.
And the rules.
This is something
I was gonna have to bring it back to the details. For a B tier, if from the 2-minute warning to the time you turn in your scorecard, you have alcohol, or your caddy, which is an extension of yourself, has alcohol, immediate disqualification. We don't want to have to disqualify anybody, but we will have to if you test us. I mean, we're not also the police. We're not going to go searching through your stuff, but if you have a can and a koozie and it's a beer and you're playing your round or your caddy, that's a DQ.
There have been notoriously unfortunate incidents due to people's lack of understanding about this rule.
World champions have been disqualified. Valerie Jenkins, her mom was her caddy, and now this was an A tier or a major, but
it was a major.
Her mom was her caddy and had a beer and a koozie, and she got disqualified. So it's one of those things where we just have to follow the rules. So,
and you, and only you, can prevent disqualifications.
Yeah.
This is an important thing here. Understand when we say this is notoriously unfortunate, this is not just unfortunate for you, the player. If you happen to be the one who gets disqualified because either you or your caddy was trying to sneak something in or was ignorant of the rule or something like that, it's still on you. And then it's unfortunate not only for you, but let's say your caddy is your mom. How do you think your mom is going to feel when she gets you disqualified because you and her did not know that her drinking a beer could get you in trouble? Imagine how bad you just made your mom feel.
And
by
truly,
not knowing the rule. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying
also counts.
Know the rule, because this is important, because the Seven Oaks Summer Solstice, at Seven Oaks, most of the time anything goes, but this is a B-tier tournament, you guys. So you don't want to be in a situation where you draw some unfortunate consequences on you or somebody you care about.
Right.
You don't want to be on that card. I don't want to be the official or the TD that has to come down on one of their friends and say, "Hey, sorry, buddy, this is a B tier. You're DQ'd." Like I've had to stroke a whole card because one of my friends left to go watch pros without turning in the scorecard for his group.
Yeah.
And we don't have to point fingers at who that was, but that's what I'm saying is that's the situation you want to avoid, is somebody that you care about, that isn't trying to do anything wrong, forgets a rule or is ignorant of a rule, and then everybody's just bummed out.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing we've been talking a lot I know in this podcast is being able to call the rules and have the rules called on you.
Mm-hmm.
It is, self-policing sport, but we want to get away from, if somebody calls a rule, the whole card is messed up for the whole round.
Yeah, the whole the whole vibe.
Sometimes that can happen where it's like, or a rule was like a foot fault was called but not seconded, and seconded it. Yeah, see what I did? And it kind of goes through the round like, man, I think it's a foot fault. It's, and then you're just kind of the whole card's quiet, and you're not talking and not. It's not the spirit of the game, but it is the spirit of the game to be fair about the rules.
Right. The spirit of the game should be that we are all adult enough to understand what rules mean, and that we all care about each other enough to understand that the rules are there so that we can all participate in this fairly and all have an equal shot at a positive experience. That's the thing about rules, man. You can't like tout the rules and call the rules on somebody and then act like a jerk if you break a rule and somebody calls you on it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, is like that vibe changing when somebody calls a rules violation or a courtesy violation or something like that. That vibe changing, that's on everybody in the card, man. Like, what is wrong? In what world can we not say, hey, man, I'm really sorry to have to do this to you, but like you just did this. And I mean, look at where we are.
Another rule I would like to point out is, because I like to point out rules because I'm cool, is casual water. Water is casual at Seven Oaks is how we're going to play it, which is how we usually play it at tournaments. We don't have the creeks marked OB, but the water is casual, which make sure you watch a video on this, review the rule, because say, for example, the biggest creek probably is hole 18 because the pin is across the creek. If you're in there and there's water in the bottom of the creek and your disc is in the water, you can take relief. The nearest point you can take relief out of the water that's in line with the basket, no closer to the basket. But it doesn't mean you get to come out of the creek. You know, if the creek is dry, you'd be taking a stance down the creek. If there's a little bit of water, you may be taking a stance 1 foot behind the water or immediately behind the water in the creek. And so some people think if you say casual water, you can actually take relief on the bank for safe. Like you can go up to the top of the creek.
That is not true.
But you have to be able to take a lie behind it.
Right.
So if you're unsure about if your lie is correct, play a provisional. That's a Big Dog Sweeten provisional, because you can't take a picture. You can't use picture evidence. You can't use video evidence because they say not everybody has a video phone. Because a lot of people, they don't have phones. Their phone's only at 5%. You know, all these stories you get when it's like, oh, you got to take the card. It's like, or you got to do the digital scorecard. Oh man, my phone, not working. So,
better
play
hope
a provisional.
You don't break your leg and need to call 911. Jeez.
Sound the alarm. We'll come. We'll find you. But play a provisional if you're unsure, and just be familiar with casual water rule. Doesn't mean you can come outside of the creek. Yep. You have to take your stance. Like if it was on the bank, you'd have to like reach down, have a supporting point on the lie, or if it was on the other side of the bank, you'd have to kind of put your knee up there, put your foot up there, put your hand behind it. Like you have to take an official stance. So.
Yeah. Yep, and so stay tuned because there will be a virtual players meeting. I know Ruthie does plan to do a video. Yep. I've offered maybe Thursday or Friday night to let her come over here because that's something we can record here in the studio easily, export it and upload it pretty quickly that night, have it available for the weekend. If we do that Thursday night,
probably
we'll have
Thursday
it up by Friday.
Would be the day to do it.
So stay tuned for that. We'll post that. Obviously, you'll post that on the Music City Disc Golf pages, but I'll post it on the podcast pages.
We can email it out
and
too,
stuff, and we can email a link. Yeah. So
and we'll be using the PDGA digital scoring and a backup scorecard.
Yep.
So
way to go, technology. Yes.
Hey, it's funny because we have the technology and we doing the paper card, but that's actually helped prevent. So the reason they're doing that is to prevent an incorrect scoring, to prevent cheating, somebody writing down the wrong score because you have two independent scorecards, and just to prevent if there's a volunteer keeping score if they heard the wrong score, like on UDisc scoring or something like that. So
a good example of why it's a good idea to have a digital official and a paper backup is what happened to us in Emporia at DDO. You had that nightmarish weather delay in round one, so we ended up having to create 3 different layouts on that course for different divisions because some had finished different numbers of holes.
Yeah.
So now you go back into this to input all of that data, and it's like you need that paper backup.
Right.
You got to have it because you need a second point of reference to verify stuff. So, I mean, that is another feather in the cap of the PDGA. Good call on making that the official rule is that you got to have both because it came in real handy for us for sure.
And I think with you were saying about maps and how the best way to show the course layout, I feel like the PDGA, like if they buy, like don't they own UDisc? Like if they could have a thing where, okay, you're running a tournament, you can upload the maps to this, and it's kind of like an app for the tournament. But it's through under the UDisc or under the PDGA.
I don't believe they own UDisc. I know they own Disc Golf Scene. They own Disc Golf Scene.
They own Disc Golf Scene. They're partnering with UDisc.
They're partnered with UDisc, yeah. But yes, I think all of that is you're just going to see that get more and more streamlined as time passes. I mean,
because people always want a way to like when they want to check in.
Yeah,
they always want to push a button to check in or like they come up to you like, what I need to do to check in. And then you're like, be here 10 minutes before your tea time. 10 minutes before your tea time shows up. We're yelling in the parking lot. Where are these people?
We should put like one of those little balloon horns on the check-in table. So when people come up, they can go, beep, beep, and they can feel like they've done something.
We've gotten some signage now that's like check in here. And we've started
And it
putting
just
up
points to the horn.
Caution tape and stuff. And that's, yeah.
Follow the arrows, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying.
This is another thing that we kind of breezed over that I thought would be good to talk about a little bit regarding the solstice. Because it's something that the members of the club have talked about for a while. Obviously when the pandemic hit, in order to get our sanctioning back, in order to return to organized play, we had to come up with a really, really comprehensive plan to get around COVID. And part of that was tea times, because you don't have people congregating in one spot at one time. You can cycle them in. Now, another benefit of tea times that I don't think people are necessarily cognizant of as a moving part of tournament formation is that tea times allows you to get more players on the field. Because you can start at sunup and go to sundown, and then you are just limited by the group size and how much time can you place between the groups and get away without creating backups. So you can get more people in now. That there is a huge benefit to incorporating a tea time format with our bag tag series, because again, and this is something that I always try to remind the good people of Nashville about, is with the bag tag series, it's a double-edged sword. Is one, you must be a member of Music City Disc Golf to participate in the series, but Music City Disc Golf will never turn a current member in good standing away from a bag tag if there's any way to get them into the event. We've always tried to say that, hey, we're not going to turn you away if you give us a reasonable heads up, because you do that all the time.
That's the definition. Reasonable heads up.
Yeah, I mean, like the
12 hours after registration closes.
Right. But I'm saying, you always go, and we've always done that.
Big Z.
Bend over our backwards to get more people in if we can, if they're members of the club, because that's always what we've tried to do with the bag tag events. Now, throughout this last year and a half, people have often said in comments on social media, why can't we do shotgun start? Why can't we do this? Blah, blah, blah. Well, let's bring shotgun starts back. Well, okay. Yeah, I agree. Shotgun starts are awesome for a lot of things.
Yeah.
It brings everybody together. We haven't been able to do that for a while, and now regulations are kind of starting to ease up to where that's a viable option again.
Right.
But it's also, think about, and I say this again, people don't always they think every tournament is every tournament. They don't think about the fact that each individual tournament can have a different purpose or goal, and so like not every tournament needs to be the Music City Open.
Right.
And when you talk about a tournament like the Seven Oaks Summer Solstice, especially if you're elevating its status up to a B tier and bringing in another day, well, yes, let's do shotgun start, because with with a PDGA sanctioned event, you are already creating a premium. You're already setting a standard on that event that it's not your run-of-the-mill tournament, especially once you go from C tier to B tier. Like this is a step above your normal event, so act accordingly. This is just part of it. You know what I mean? You have to think about what lane you're in, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. So, but I think that's cool that now we're able to start bringing some shotgun starts back. I just thought that was a decent opportunity to maybe educate the members of the club who didn't know why we hadn't done any shotgun starts in a while.
Well, speaking of shotgun starts, I'm taking over as the TD of Cane Ridge Open. Shante is going to be at the Amateur World Championships. Golf snaps to anybody competing out there.
Yep.
And we are actually going to a shotgun start format for this C tier. We're going to use baby cane and big cane. We're going to have 72 people, which is 18 times 4 on baby cane, 72 people, 18 times 4. And the cap is 144. We're not going to go to groups of 5. And so it's going to be a get signed up quick, a race to click. And so I'm going to have that. I think registration opens July 6th for that. So be looking for that. And we're going to have division caps, and we can change them on the fly depending on, but we'll have probably advanced and MA40, MA50, MA60 on big cane plus the pros, and advanced women and FPO, and then we'll have everybody else on baby cane. And it'll be 2 rounds on the same course.
I think that all sounds perfectly reasonable.
So,
one day?
That's the beautiful...
One day.
Yeah.
Bam.
2 rounds, Sunday, August 15th. Be there.
I love it. That's the great thing about Cane Ridge, man. You get 2 courses.
Yeah. So we'll have 144 total, which That's another thing. If we had to do shotgun starts on the Mike Lane Classic or on the Solstice, we'd have to cut out 70 people.
Yep.
So, which 70 do we not take in?
sad.
So
This is the kind of the knowledge.
these are good problems to have.
Yeah, this is the kind of knowledge and experience that your average disc golfer never has an opportunity to come across. I think, and this is why you get so much negative feedback, is people just have no idea about how each different part affects and is attached to another part in the overall view of the whole thing. You make one change and something else on the other side goes haywire.
Right.
And that's the whole thing, is like, yeah, shotgun starts are awesome for certain reasons, but understand, you do a shotgun start, you're leaving a whole bunch of people out in the cold. And right now we're at a point where the main one, a problem, a first world problem, a good problem to have, that, as you just said, is that tournaments are filling up. There's a lot of people playing disc golf. There's a lot more tournaments, but they're still filling up.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. There are people out there that just can't get into the events they want to play. And now another, not a problem, but maybe a challenge, is that everybody has to do a little bit more R&D before they pick and choose the events they're going to participate in. Because which ones do you really want? Because those are the ones you're going to have to commit to out the gate, whether or not, you know what I mean? You've got to ask for the time off. You've got to do all this stuff and plan for it. And that's the thing, is most people that are, you see it more among the age-protected pro divisions, that they've already got a career. They've got a whole life. They, a lot of these younger cats, these new amateurs, they're in school. They're on summer break right now. They can play whatever. So they're just clicking away as soon as stuff pops up. And so something that I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks since the PDGA board candidates were announced, part of my platform is, I think, in addition to incentivizing and compensating tournament directors, I think we start needing to place some attached compensation, or not maybe even compensation, but incentivization on running field-specific events. Because if we had some creative things coming out that were just like geared towards these amateurs and these new beginning players that are flooding into the community, if there was more stuff that was geared towards them and catering towards them, cool. Let them flood that, build their rating, get that tournament experience. Let's have stuff that is built for that purpose. Thinking about the purpose of an event. Not every tournament needs to be the Music City Open. Yeah. This is the problem. You see a lot of people, usually it's the FPO players, the age-protected players, the players in the smaller divisions. These are the players that often come out of bigger events feeling like they got the short end of the stick. And it's because they're coming out of an event that is built for all divisions, and the purpose is to fill up the event, not fill up MP50 or or FA1. And then, there's a higher demand on certain divisions, so they get a higher cap. People feel like they're neglected because their divisional cap is lower. Yeah. And then of course, you come up on 2 months away from the tournament, and then you start taking empty spots away from divisions to put them into other divisions in the same pool because there's people on the wait list. Right. And then they feel shafted again. Yeah. And understandably so. I mean, as we touched on before the break, it's like, I understand what it's like to be made to feel like you're not as valued as another person in the same scope of things. But you got to understand, man, this is the event you signed up for. This is the purpose of the event, is to fill it up with everybody. Yeah. You've got a overall cap as well as divisional caps, and the divisional caps are always built to reflect that overall cap. So these are things that the average player just doesn't take into consideration. But I think as we go forward, a way to even out some of this supply-demand issue as far as events go is having more just masters events, more juniors events, more women's events, more AM events, more pro and advanced events.
I don't know. Memphis has been having a masters,
Butt Hill
Masters.
They've also been doing a lot of Southern Nationals events, and maybe that's another option that different areas can incorporate, to start bringing around. This is, I think, a unique perspective that we have here in Nashville that a lot of areas and clubs don't have, is that our bread and butter is an unsanctioned series. It's like a mini tour, and it's unsanctioned. So while we go by PDGA rules, we can push the boundaries of that envelope out and experiment and see what is outside of the scope of the normal procedure that really works for people and what doesn't work for people. So that provides you an opportunity to do that, whereas if you're only running PDGA events, it's all cut and dry by the book. You got to do it that way. So you really kind of, I think, lose touch with your base if that's all you're doing.
Well, that's all, like the discussion with Harper and John about Seven Oaks Gold. Yeah. Because it's a big tournament where you can try things because it's unsanctioned. Right. Or right now it's, I know we're looking into different options for that. But one thing I was thinking about was, do you guys think that disc golf will go to, for majors and NTs, having 100 reserve places for the top 100 players or top however many 50 players, and it's like a tour card in the PGA. They have 120 spots, and these are reserved until the tournament closes for those top 100 players or top 50 players. And so you would have more of like the 970 or whatever the above 900 is on there. Like they would be on the wait list until the last second they would fill in, which because of these bigger tournaments. And I mean, they have ample time to sign up early. If you're above 1,000 rated, you can sign up, the tiered sign up, but there's still people that are some of the top players that are on the wait list on bigger tournaments are not getting into tournaments. And so do you think they would have like a top 100 where these are the top 100 rankings and it's just like, first place, second place, and it's by whatever ratings you go by or rankings. And for majors and national tour events, those spots stay until, say, a week before the event. And then if they haven't signed up by that point, then the wait list fills.
I think you can implement that for NTs, but not necessarily for like other tournaments. I think I had this conversation with Josh Cocker, and we may have spoke about this once. That amateurs or pros aren't all built the same. Mm-hmm. So if you're a pro and you're not a 10,040 rated pro, you should still have the opportunity to play with a 10,040 rated pro. Because
1040?
Well, yeah, I said 10,000.
10,000.
Your rating's 10,000.
The best rating ever.
Okay, and that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I'm only a 970 rated player, or I think it's like
9,070.
938. Yeah. No, so seriously, that's what it feels like for a 938 player to be looking at these other players like they're in the 10,000s when they're only actually 1040.
Yeah.
And you feel like you want the opportunity to play with that player at some point on their level. Yeah. And when you make rules like that, it kind of discourages some of the other players from like, okay, so what's the point in me playing? Because I know, first of all, I'm not going to win, and I can't get in. And on top of that, it's just a good chance I won't be able to play with somebody who is, a Ricky Wasaki or, Josh or.
I kind of feel like a lot of that might be like people don't understand or aren't setting realistic, I don't know, maybe goals or identity points or associations or being realistic about it, because I see a lot of this happen where it's like somebody that's 930 rated is trying to play with people that are 1040 rated or something like that. That's like the Lloyd Weimer rule comes to mind. And you understand, like, thematically, philosophically, I want everybody to be in some way on equal playing, on equal footing. But you got to also take into consideration, because if you're making that argument, you're thinking exclusively from the perspective of the lower rated player, and you're not taking into consideration the experience of the more advanced player. Because if this person says, well, I'm going to have a better experience if I get to play with these people, and then these people are saying, well, we're going to have a better experience if he plays with people that are more close to his skill level, and or she or whatever. I think that's kind of a disparity that now we're going to have to start addressing, and maybe ratings caps and the way the divisions break down are going to have to fluctuate a little bit to maybe be more heavily enforced and keep people in their lane a little bit, because there's just too many golfers going around. And until the event structure kind of catches up with this demand, and the industry at large catches up with this demand, I think that's going to start, if we don't address it in some way, more and more people are going to start to feel alienated and left out in the cold. And then this big boom that we've had in membership growth is going to stall, and eventually you're not going to have 85,000 current and active members of the PDGA. It's just things to take into consideration. There's gray areas, and there's,
well, look at one of the things there's certain people that are always on featured cards, so they almost never play with these players. And so is it fair to there's 8 people that are rated, I don't know how many, 1045 or 1040 and above, and those 8 people are probably always going to play with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Even on the feature card. And so, but then there's the 1020 to 1030, which I'm not 1020 to 1040 rated, that they're going to have earlier tee times, going to be playing with and so is that a disadvantage? Where it shouldn't be a disadvantage. I mean, you should be able to play with anybody, but if like Paul Macbeth, he probably never has to play with those people because he's always going to be in a feature card. Ricky Wysocki, Eagle, and so is it fair to the other pros that are still rated pretty highly, but they may have to play at 7 a.m. with a 900 rated player versus the feature card?
Yeah,
and maybe certain tournaments it is, but then certain tournaments it needs to be just wide open.
You get on a disc golf course, and no matter what your rating is, it seems like you always play just to your competition.
Yeah, it does.
And at some point, the pros should not have to play to their competition. At that point, when you say like you're a 1030, 1040 rated pro, it shouldn't matter who your competition is at that point, because at that point you're playing against the course and your best score.
True.
Where younger golfers may think that I'm playing against this player because he's really good, and that may amplify or make their game even better.
Right.
But the pros at that point, I mean, hopefully they know that I'm playing for the best score possible. I know my shots on this course.
Right.
I'm playing to win.
Yeah.
And you guys are playing to beat me.
Yeah.
This we're on different mindsets. We're on different levels at that point. And when you go
it's not
into
their
a course,
job.
Right. When you go into a course thinking like, man, I know Ricky's going to shoot a 10, so I got to shoot 11. Instead, Ricky's going to the course thinking, last time I shot 11, I'm just going to shoot better than my last round. I'm going to beat this course.
Right.
I'm not thinking about whoever's on my card. I'm thinking about like what number can I put up.
Exactly.
And where most people are thinking like, man, I've only got 3 down through 7 holes. I better keep playing. I better do better.
Yeah, exactly.
or Ricky's going to beat me. There's definitely different mindsets to playing to your competition and or not.
Yeah, and I don't know
I
don't know if there's probably not a good answer that's going to be different for different tiers.
Well,
Well, people are going to tackle it different ways.
That's why
so
I like it when it's like last names or when it's just like totally random, because after the first day, it's a true separator. It's like, hey, what did you do on the first day? That was going to be like your clear sign saying are you going to be on feature card or not. If you didn't shoot well the first day, then you didn't bring your A game to the course.
Well, that's the whole thing with ratings, though, too. I mean, everybody agrees a player rating is not an accurate assessment of your capability as a disc golfer.
No, not capability.
It's an indication of what you've done up to that point.
Right.
And, just through conversations with Sean, I know that as far as the PDGA is concerned, what they look at when you're dealing with that top level of competition isn't necessarily player ratings, it's their ranking system.
Right.
And I think that over the next few years, you're going to start seeing more emphasis placed, especially particularly in disc golf media, more emphasis placed on the ranking system. And this was while me and Sean were weed eating at Mill Ridge, which we'll talk about MCO and Mill Ridge here in a minute too. But that was something he mentioned, was that, the rankings for the pros, for the top level of the pro field, I mean, that's the whole thing. And you can hear the same story from anybody that's on tour, is the ratings. I mean, and you can understand why they'd be important to an amateur, is because they're trying to figure out how they stack up against the rest of the field. They're still developing in their game. And then, but with the pros, it's like, it's not, I mean, because we've kind of encroached before kind of things started fluctuating with this new period of growth. We were kind of encroaching on territory where sponsorships and a lot of different perks and incentives and things like that were being judged based on ratings.
Right.
And I felt, and I feel, and I think a lot of the pros that were affected by that kind of a strategy probably feel that that's kind of BS. I mean, because if
you hear these people 10-16 and they're like, if I can get 10-20 rated, I can get this level of sponsorship.
Right.
And it's like 4 points. Like,
right. Because, and then it's, what about the fact that I'm a contender and I could go on a tear at any given point and leave everybody in the dust? Like, are you really just, is my worth to you based on everything I've done up to this point? Like, you don't have any kind of, I don't know, confidence in what I could do in the future. Right. It's just those kind of, thematic questions that get raised by that kind of a sponsorship strategy. Right. But when you're basing it on something like that, and then that begs the question, with as complicated and expensive to maintain as the rating system is, it's like, are we falling short some way, investing so much bandwidth in that when the people that we're focused the most on really have little use for that? I mean, it's worth considering. It's worth talking about.
Right.
Also, shout out to Michael Johansson. I just saw on Instagram a little while ago. He's still, and I wasn't aware of this, he still has the highest rated round in a world championship of all time at 11-13.
Whoa.
And he's one of only 3 people to ever have an 1100 plus rated round in world championship. The other, he did it in 2012, 11-13. at the World Championship, and then in 2019, Eagle and Ricky both got 1,100 plus in Worlds. But those three are the only people to do it. So shout out to those guys. Shout out to MJ for that 11-13 that's still holding as the highest rated round in a World Championship.
Get out your comments.
Yep.
Your
Yeah.
MJ comment.
Go pat MJ on the
Banger.
back. Check out that
Purple.
post. It's on his Instagram.
Purple bangers, man.
Well, banger. Maybe get you a crush. Is it called a crush?
Actually, if you're that good at putting, you just putt.
Oh,
and
the
you
crank.
pick up your
That's
mini.
what it is, the
Right,
crank.
yeah. You just run it down. Yep.
You just pick up your mini, and then I forgot which Worlds was that. I forgot which one, but there was maybe Pittsburgh, but
Could be.
Yeah, shout out to Stone Smith, Stone and Justin Bonnell and Kevin Rarick.
yeah,
They're all headed to
they're going
Worlds.
to Worlds.
Congratulations to
Look at
those
Nashville
gentlemen.
representing.
Yeah,
dude.
can't wait.
Going hard in the world.
It's
paint.
so dope too. I'm still
Yeah.
so excited to see Kevin Rarick playing again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, people don't know. People forgot about
Yeah.
Kevin Rarick, dude. That guy can
He
crush.
can crush, dude. Like what he really surprised me. He was at Cedar Hill. We were playing hole 8, going straight to the Mando. We had a Mando back then.
yeah.
And going to the long position. Puts down a roller with this destroyer. Parks it. I'm just like mind blown.
Man.
Like, hey, this guy is actually really, real. Oh, he's really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's that guy. He had a family. Came back from an arm injury and he's doing quite well out there.
and
Get
he
back on the
had
scene.
that last year at the championship at Cedar Hill. He shot a 10 down. I think he shot some crazy number, and that win was crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody even was close to him. And it was like, wait, how did he won? Because remember we had that thing about there was one pro that played the day before, and he shot like a 10, and Kevin shot a 12 in much worse conditions. And then we were talking about how do we tackle in these scores, and that's when we got into we can't have people playing on different days.
Yeah.
Growing pains. We
Man,
figured it out.
These new players in the local area, you know, you guys might not be aware or might have no clue who we're talking about, Kevin Rarick, or you might have been at one of the tournaments over the last year and seen him playing. But Kevin, I mean, if you were so inclined, you could do some Facebook stalking. Go back to the period of time around, say, 2008 to 2011, 2012, and you can find a lot of pictures. But this is like, there was a period of time where Nashville had the tour's attention. The disc golf world came and went from Nashville pretty frequently, and then everything just kind of went away. And I think a lot of that was kind of toxic social media stuff that developed. But you can look back at some of these pictures on certain people's pages, man, and it's like,
Yeah.
Nico, Paul, Simon, everybody hanging out in Nashville at Nashville courses, and
Yeah.
Kevin Rarick and Will Schustrick and a couple of those people are all up in those
gonna bring
pictures.
up-
Tang,
I'm going to bring David Tang, definitely.
Yep.
Sure.
Marcus is probably in there too. He has his
right.
connection. Everybody.
Watch out. Okay, here
Marcus
it goes.
is in some
Here
of
it
them,
goes.
yep.
Here we go.
What was it? The Cloud 9 Open?
yep,
At, let me see, Sanders Ferry Park, we had Paul Macbeth, Kevin Rarick, Will Schustrick, and I think it was Justin Kritzer.
yep. Kreutzer,
All,
Kreutzer was always up
finishing
in there, up in the mix.
You can find a picture somewhere. And definitely some of the best golfers I was seeing at the time. Back when I saw Macbeth do a 360 on hole 18, passing the regular position, which is uphill 400 feet, going to the long position, which is past the restroom, right beside the park over there.
right where
going
Jake
into-
Goodman ripped his leg out of his body.
I saw that. I've got video of that.
YouTube has video of that. You can go watch it right now.
Wait,
Have you seen it?
He was
MCO, I think it was 2012.
dude. He was
He was
like,
talking about Sanders Ferry.
Oh yeah, I was talking about something else.
Yeah.
but yeah, I've got.
He
video of
mentioned the
Yeah,
bathroom.
no,
Oh,
I-
Sanders Ferry. I was thinking about
Sanders
Seven
Ferry.
Oaks. My
Yeah.
bad,
Yeah,
my
you're
bad.
talking about Seven Oaks
Yep.
from the top position going down. I got
Yeah.
video of that. Ooh, what a day.
Shout out to Jake.
Come back.
Come back, Jake.
Come back.
Safely.
Jake, come back.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sanders Ferry.
good times.
Marcus was there competing.
Yep.
Were you?
I was there, dude.
I was standing about 50, 60
I'm everywhere,
feet.
man.
Where's Waldo?
I'm just everywhere, dude.
Marcus has
Marcus?
always been there, dude. Yep.
Yeah.
And I know
You
because
might, I was one of the first persons that started like doing the videotaping, like running around with the, not a gimbal at the time.
I
think it was
still
just
remember that Ring
it
of
was a
Fire video you got
selfie
at
stick.
Cane Ridge. That stuff was you had. I think you put like Kendrick Lamar on it, and then
Yeah.
you did like slow mo all the way through, and then reverse slow mo, and it was.
Do you remember the one I did? You remember the one I did for Harper?
Oh yeah,
Back when he hit the ace in
ace.
front of everybody.
Yep,
Oh.
the ace
It's-
heard around the world.
Heard around the world. It was back when they first came out with
Yeah.
the gift with the glasses. You know,
when they
the
like
cigarette
Yep.
came out,
drop down
slowly-
I remember that.
Oh,
You know what I
man.
remember
I
most
hooked him
from
up.
that Ace?
Yeah.
The picture, I forget, it might have been your picture, but it was the picture of Harper, and he still had long hair down in the middle of his back. And this is when he was like 10, because he's like 18 now almost.
Yeah.
But he had hair down in the middle of his back. And I remember right after it happened, Alpo had come around and he said, everybody that saw that owes him $5. And I remember seeing this picture of Harper standing there, just Harper by himself, and he's got his hands up like this biggest smile in the world on his face, and there's just fives just falling out of his hands. And it was really cool. But yeah, a lot of good memories at
Nice.
Sanders Ferry, man. I'm glad that's back in the rotation for the club.
Guess who's back?
Back again. I wonder how if
Last
that
cash.
works. I wonder if if YouTube was brought, if their attention was brought to the fact that we beatbox a lot of like famous songs that are copyrighted on the podcast. I wonder if they would have a problem with it, or if that's like an artist representation kind of thing.
We've created a monster.
The world's smallest.
Because nobody wants to see Last Cash anymore,
They want disc golf because we're chopped liver.
right?
Chop liver.
Okay, let's come back. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back in. MCO. Let's talk a little bit about MCO. We got some news coming. I know.
I have a big question. Are we gonna have spectators?
Yeah, buddy.
That seems to be the question we're getting emailed once or twice a day.
Yeah.
So
we are going to have spectators. So I'm not reading the comments anymore, so you can go ahead and feed me the questions and I'll answer them. But yes, to that question, we are going to have spectators. At Cedar Hill, it's going to be limited. And I'll go ahead and just be honest about that. And that has nothing to do with COVID. While I will say, to preface all of this, going into it, we will have COVID contingency plans in place so that if unexpectedly a new variant or something happens and everything tightens down again, we will have measures in place to where we won't have to give refunds. You'll still be able to spectate, but there will be some restrictions. So out of the gate, I'm just going to let you guys know it's really, really hard to move spectators through Cedar Hill when you're talking about large groups of people following cards. And not only is it difficult to do that safely, but it's difficult to do that and still get good media. And this is, our first time as a national tour event. We want to showcase this in all ways as well as we possibly can. So the strategy at Cedar Hill is going to be spectator areas. We're going to have spectator groupings set up in reasonable positions on the course. So obviously there's a couple that come to mind up by the pavilion on 17. So we can carve out a large area for people to come and set up chairs and hang out and watch the groups come through 16 and 17. Hole 9 and 10, the pavilion that's there, there's areas there where we can rope off some space where people can set up chairs and things like that. Those behind hole 8, there's other areas, there's different areas on the course where we can park people where you'll be able to see a couple holes and see the groups coming through. And if you feel so inclined, you can move from one area to the other and kind of get to certain places ahead of the group that you're most closely attached to. So there will be an opportunity to do that at Cedar Hill. We probably will not be allowing any spectators to follow cards at Cedar Hill. There might be some level of access to, obviously we will allow caddies. We will allow the players on these cards a little bit of carte blanche to say if they have a family member or something that they would like to walk with them.
Support person,
support person or animal. We don't discriminate at the Last Cash or at Music City Open.
but we know that you can't have animals on that level.
Unless it is a service animal. If you have paperwork to show that it's a service animal, we did have a service animal at DDO at Swope Park.
I'll be checking I'll be the medical doctor screening.
You're on the details. So anyway, that's going to be that's going to be the scenario at Cedar Hill. At Mill Ridge, we do intend to let people follow groups. We intend to, and this is another thing worth mentioning. We will be selling spectator passes or tickets. Most likely, it'll be wristbands. But it will be one price for a wristband that gets you access to the NT courses for the entire tournament. So you don't have to pay for a ticket for one or multiple days. This is where my head's at right now.
It's
Obviously,
like Bonnaroo?
Yeah,
Where's your head?
Yeah, but I think that's the easiest way to do it is say we're going to sell this many spectator passes. This is going to be the price, and let them have it. Now, then with the understanding that when you go to Cedar Hill to spectate, you will be limited to the designated spectator areas. And then when you're at Mill Ridge, there will be rules in place, and we will have extra volunteers on hand to do crowd control and things like that. We also will have spectator areas set up at Mill Ridge where multiple holes are visible. So if you would prefer to go take a camping chair out and sit there and watch the groups come through and then maybe migrate to another pod or something like that, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to try and keep the price reasonable, but with all the added cash raising for the level of the event that we're moving into, I mean, we have to start setting a premium so that we can make this sustainable. So there will be spectating. It will cost a little bit of money, but you will be able to purchase your passes through the Music City Disc Golf website. This is all now. None of this is fully official. This is all what we've talked about. This is what's in my mind. We are in the process of trying to schedule a meeting for the MCO staff, which will include course directors, volunteer coordinators, IT specialists that we have brought in. But we are going to hopefully be setting up within the next month forms on the Music City Disc Golf website where you will be able to purchase your spectator passes. You'll be able to sign up as a volunteer. You'll be able to purchase hole sponsorships. All of those things will be available through musiccitydiscgolf.com.
And we will need volunteers for UDisc scoring for every group.
Yes.
From 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Yep. We will need tons of volunteers, but you guys know, obviously, if you volunteered at the Music City Open before, the process has usually been like, yeah, you guys show up, we feed you, we put shirt on you, and then after the event's over, we try our best to hook you up as much as we possibly can. Well, we are embellishing our strategy with this going forward. So we do intend to have a designated volunteer package of some kind that you guys will get just as appreciation for your hard work. And we also are seriously pursuing the idea of having a dinner or party following the event, or maybe the week of the event, for all the volunteers to gather and we, I don't know, take off a portion of the tab or something. We're talking about what kind of perks we can reasonably and realistically provide for you guys, but we want to take care of you as much as we can. And if we're leveling up all other areas because we're in NT now, then that's definitely an area that we need to level up. So we do intend to do that, and we definitely intend to throw some goodies at you guys that are kind enough to come and help us pull this off. But all of that stuff will be coming to musiccitydiscgolf.com in the very near future. I know it's coming up around the corner. It's a lot sooner than you think, and we are halfway through June. But by July, we hope to have all this stuff up on the website, and so you guys can start making your plans, purchasing your passes, signing up to volunteer, purchasing whole sponsorships, which are going to be accessible, reasonably priced. There's going to be different price points for different levels, and we're going to do custom drum heads for the whole sponsor signs at Cedar Hill and Mill Ridge. So they're going to be really
to sponsor
cool.
One of those.
Thanks to Lyndon Lance at Bandwagon Music and Supply, or Music and Repair. Also, he's helping us come up with some really dope. I think we're looking at mini guitars, like actual 6-string acoustic guitars, not ukuleles, but the half size. I think we're looking at getting those kind of wood burned with tournament information on them, make them look real slick. Possibly looking at maybe guitar straps, getting some custom guitar straps, something like we're going to go all out. So that's coming soon. Also, July, this is important news. If you are signed up for the national tour portion of the Music City Open, the 2021 Music City Open presented by Dynamic Discs, be dynamic.
Discs.
It thrusts its discs into the baskets.
I'm always trying to find something to say about like dynamic right there. Like I think we were doing what was it, the when we did the commentary, I was like, dynamic. Yes, be dynamic. And if you're not dynamic, then you're
static. Yeah, this is important if you guys are currently signed up to participate in the NT, or if you're considering it, especially if you're an FPO player. This is going to be important. So listen up. Right now, you guys, we've got 144 spots for MPO in the national tour portion of the event, and they're all filled. How many people we got on the wait list, Dr. Hoy? Roughly. You don't have
20,
to look it up. 20.
at least.
Roughly 20.
21 count me.
We've got 44 spots for FPO. How many of them are filled, Dr. Hoy? I know it was 27.
27.
It is now 28. Lisa Fakis just signed up a little bit ago. Thanks, Lisa. We love you.
Breaking news.
Yep. So 28 out of 44. We've got 164 plus people signed up for MPO, and there's only 144 spots to go around. So you guys see the disparity here. You see the picture I'm painting on the wall for you. We've got a really small FPO field, which I don't like to do. I don't like to see, but all of this is based on models from other events and previous years. And so we went into it knowing that there was going to be a smaller FPO field. We're trying to build into it, and we have big plans to add a lot of money to the FPO field once we've covered our bases with the initial $10,000 added cash for the NT. We're really trying to knock this out for FPO. And here's the problem with that: with so many people on the wait list for NPO, we are going to have to pull some spots from FPO.
I got some updated numbers.
Okay, hit us.
We have 144 spots in NPO, and we have 15 on the wait list, and we have 29 FPO out of 40 spots.
29 out of 40. So we already pulled 4 at some point. That's right.
That is correct.
Okay. So 29 out of 40. Here's the deal, guys. It is now the 15th of June. So on July 1st, if we do not hit 32 players in FPO by July 1st, we will be pulling 8 spots away from FPO and for putting them into MPO, so that the people that have already done their due diligence and signed up ahead of time and are now waiting on the wait list to see if they're going to be able to play. I mean, I feel like since we opened registration in February, it was February for the A tier and March for the NT.
No, I think it was March.
February and March, we opened registration. So you see what I'm saying.
It's been months ago.
It's been months that the registration has been open, and 40 spots isn't many. So I'm not trying to say anything untoward. I'm just saying, ladies, you know you want to play the NT finale. You know you want to come to Nashville and party. I mean, come on. Get your clicking fingers clicking. Yeah. So, I mean,
all my golfing ladies.
I don't want to. I just in my heart and soul and in the back of my mind, I hate seeing such a small women's field the first time that we appear on this stage. It just doesn't sit right with me. And then to have to take more spots away, that really bothers me. You know, I want, especially, I mean, I want everybody to have a great experience, but obviously we want to take care of our ladies, and and I'm always saying the underrepresented groups, I'm a big advocate for investing extra in those fields. So we want to do that, but this is always the dilemma that a tournament director faces. It's you know, you've got to take care of everybody.
Right.
And if you trim from one area to put a little bit more embellishment onto another field that you feel is being underrepresented, and then nobody shows up to play that event, well, then you've pulled resources away from a field that has interest.
Right.
So while it's unfair that you can't do enough for a small group, it's like if you're going to try to do more for a group that's not showing up at the expense of the group that's already there and like trying to give you their money, I mean, you understand the problem here. So this is just, you know, something to be cognizant of, I guess, for everybody, is that when you have questions about why certain things are the way they are at certain tournaments for certain players, you know, these are all things that are at play.
We have to balance having a full event versus having the full field size of each division that we would want. So, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah. And, you know, this is another, everything works out the way it is. It's another serendipitous kind of effect of the way the universe unfolds. Right. But now that I'm no longer burdened with the administration of the club, I have time for my brain to work again. And I can come up with cool ideas, and I can actually invest my time and energy into things that I want to do and things that I think will help.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be bogged down with all the process and the administration and all that stuff. And you're better at it than I ever was anyway. So, but that's the thing, is like, now I know I've been talking a good game about, hey, we can do this, we can do this. We are going to start doing things. I'm going to start using this new bandwidth that I have. I mean, right now I'm in the middle of an election and stuff, but we've been talking about bringing a series of events branded Under the Last Cash to the area. And this is maybe the first time that we'll talk about it somewhat publicly.
Last Cash.
But I'm thinking of starting, you know, Steve Story in Texas was notorious and is infamous for a high volume of sanctioned events every year. I think the year that he won the Tournament Director of the Year from the PDGA, I think he ran like 67 PDGA events in a year. Or more than that, maybe 70 plus. Nice. But it was because he was, every Friday, he had this series called Flex Start Fridays. And so he'd have a Flex Start C tier every Friday that he ran out of the store in Carrollton. Oh. And he was able to use that as a constant activity for and was heavily populated by amateurs and is. But in a time like now where your events are getting filled up so quickly by all these new players, it's like maybe we should start doing some more fun things on a regular basis to give them the experience they're looking for and kind of let things sort themselves out a little more appropriately. Right. So I am very much going to this summer, if of course this is all saying, MCO is our focus.
Yeah.
So right now we're in a heavy planning stage for Music City Open. We're about to start placing orders and spending money. So nothing else is really on my radar until I feel like that's well in hand. But this is something that we are going to be bringing to the area soon. We're going to start doing these kind of things that are field specific and creating opportunities for these smaller groups to get a fair shake. I feel like if you can run an event that's for just masters or for just juniors, you market yourself to different sponsors accordingly to that demographic.
Right.
You bring in money from people where that makes sense. And then you're able to use those resources and those funds in ways that actually provide value to those players, because that's ultimately the gripe that these players from smaller fields have after big events, is that none of the money is being spent on things that matter to them. I mean, it's all being spent to get cameras on the pros. It's all being spent to get all this and this, but it's never spent on anything that actually, and then in certain divisions cases, like the age protected pros, as Jay Ray was saying when we had him on not too long ago, these are the players that are coming to town and spending a grip of money.
Yeah.
These are the people with careers that have worked their whole lives, that have a little bit of money set aside, and they plan well when they take trips like these. They want to go to the restaurants. They want to spend money in the town, going to the stores and patronizing the businesses.
Right.
So it's like, we have
They don't sleep on the floors. They sleep in hotels and Airbnbs.
Right. We have to do more for everybody.
Important.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's true. So, and that's the thing is I just feel like that's the answer there, for everybody that complains that the pros are the only ones that get attention or the only ones that get investment. It's like, well, I mean, it's kind of on all of us, because if somebody does take the time to put out coverage of a Masters event, you know what I mean? Like, you got to support it.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I think like if you are able to do more Masters events and stuff like that and juniors events and so on and so forth, that you'll be able to kind of correct that disparity. So yeah, stay tuned for more cool stuff like that. Again, Music City Open is on and popping. Details will be coming soon. Stay tuned for announcements. Those will be coming.
Independence Dubs.
Independence
Saturday,
Dubs.
July 3rd.
That's a busy weekend.
I was talking, because Sunday, July 4th is the Naval Hill Bag Tag. But Saturday, July 3rd, I was talking to the mad scientist, Lance Kirby, and we got something planned for a couple holes out there. We're making some island holes, 2 island holes. And we're going to have some crazy CTPs. I think even Jay Skinner is doing some barbecue.
Ooh, he does know how to smoke
sandwiches.
the meats. He does know how to smoke the meats.
And we got a new bunch of custom stamped disc, and we're gonna have some lid competitions. Last year we had a distance competition with throwing a lid from hole 1.
I can't wait to see the island holes at White House.
Oh yeah, there's 7 and 8. He's got like and it's gonna have a drop zone too. But I'm like, we're gonna throw people for a loop a little bit. It's an unsanctioned event, and costumes, red, white, and blue, a theme, are gonna be rewarded with possibly a prize. So it's gonna be a fun, and get signed up. We already have 40 or 50 people signed up, so we got room. But go ahead and get in.
All right. Marcus has got to get home, and he's got a long drive. And I am just so stoked that I got to sit in the room with you guys again tonight. I missed you. I missed you. I missed Jay. I missed Jay, too, but he'll be back.
Wonder twin powers activate.
Super friends. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 37. And again, stay tuned for MCO updates and other updates coming forth. And vote for me in the PDGA election if you're a current PDGA member come July 1st.
That guy. He's committed.
Everything's happening July 1st.
Most committed guy I know to disc golf.
Married to the game.
It's all for you guys. I just want to see everybody having a good time, and I would like to see people complain less because I'm kind of over it.
I'm almost tired of complaining.
But instead of trying to shut the complainers up, I'm like, let's give people less reasons to complain. Let's think reasonably about this. All right, guys.
Friends.
Stay tuned. We'll catch you on the flip side and on the course. Friends.
Disc golfers.
Depend on. I thought it was somebody. I was all on my own, man.
We're all waiting for somebody to kick in.
What is it with people leaving me behind all the time lately?
Disc golf, come out playing
some
disc
words
golf with your friends.
Frisbee time and friends. That's
Let the bass kick.